cost. We have some good ideas, but with inflationary rates and the difficulty in buying equipment and labor escalations, we've got to be pretty cautious where we allocate our funds right now, but I would prioritize them from those things that are absolute life safety issues, and those failing water mains and lead pipes are things that absolutely would be number one on my list.
Thank you. Candidate White.
Thank you again for the question. I'll tell you, the first thing I would do would be to go over to that tornado area that I mentioned earlier and get those situations fixed. Now, the good thing about what's happened over in Ranchview is that a lot of our state reps, or a state rep for that particular area, and some of the residents, I have to call out Christy Kennedy. She's been a lifesaver over there. She's brought this information forward, and it's gotten to the point now where we've been allocated $1 million just for the Ranchview area. So that's a great thing. Trust me on that one. However, they're still not quite there. They're going to probably need a few more, maybe about $400,000 to $500,000 to make them whole. We have $13.3 million into that ARPA fund, so that's just a small pinch that would definitely go a long way toward helping them out. I think the rest of that money, however, I think would be great for infrastructure. Our roads need the help. I will tell you, we're looking at a potential parking deck over at the library. We probably need to do a little more analysis to determine if we're actually could build that. But we have money that's set aside for parking, and with the ARPA funds, we can almost build that without having to charge the community anything. So that's something that we should consider. I think the other big piece we definitely need to consider are these new police radios that have just come out that they've been mandated to have. And these are important because our police officers do a lot of mutual support, and they may help out Bolingbrook, they may help out Aurora. They come over here. We all need to be able to talk to each other and speak the same language, so they need to have those radios. Those radios are about $20 million over a 5-year period. Yeah, a radio. So you think of the encryptions and all those types of things that go into a radio. I kind of get that from my experience in the Army of having encrypted type of stuff. It makes it expensive. So it's something that we definitely need to take a look at. I think it would be a good use of the funds. Thank you.
Thank you. Last week, Niding City Council candidates cited NEST as their resource for all sustainable initiatives. We'd like to know how, as mayor, you will hold the city manager, sustainability manager, and city staff accountable for action on environment initiatives. Candidate White.
Yes, I was so excited about our ability to create, NEST, and not only create NEST because it used to just be more of a task force, but they're doing great work, and we've actually hired 2 individuals who are responsible for all the initiatives that we're doing in that regard. What we will do is we talk specifically to the city manager. That's who we hire as the city council and the mayor, whereas the city manager actually hires everyone else on his or her staff, although we are all being briefed by those individuals. So as we go through budget cycles, as we listen to all the folks who are out in this room and in our community, they are the ones who are providing us information as far as what the needs are of the community. Yes, we have the experts who are there who know what a lot of those needs are as well, but I think it's important that we have community engagement that allows us to listen to our community and then pass that on to our staff, ask the questions that the community is asking us, and if there are certain things that need to get done based off of the research we've done and the information we're getting from you all, then that's how I would hold them accountable to ensure that they're getting the things done that we're asking them to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Worley.
NEST has produced some amazing documents and goals for our city, and I think this new city council, under the leadership of a new mayor, has a real opportunity to meet with all of the stakeholders, NEST, our city manager, our sustainability coordinators, and really develop some goals that our city can start achieving year by year in the hopes of having real change for our community in the decades to come. Without goals, we're kind of freewheeling it, and that doesn't work in my business. I always push my folks beyond what we think we can do and strive to get to where we want to be. And if we're going to really make effective change in our community, we've got to make those stretch goals. And if we get halfway there, well, we've accomplished something. So I think using the NEST documents as a guideline, the practicality of our sustainability managers and our city staff accountants and everybody that the city says we can potentially achieve on a financial front, and then hopefully being able to pull our council together and get them on the same page, we can come up with some great plans for the future of our city.
Thank you. Next question. How would you encourage more businesses to install solar energy? Rules seem to disincentivize adoption of self-supplied energy for businesses. Candidate Worley.
Well, this is my favorite topic. I've been there and I've done that, and it has not been that easy. It's a really exciting opportunity for Naperville to promote solar to our businesses, but it's not very appealing right now because we have this rate structure for commercial customers that's very different from our residential customers. Our residential customers pay about 12 cents per kilowatt hour, and our commercial customers pay about 2 or 3 cents per kilowatt hour, but have huge infrastructure fees that make that very, very expensive. Meaning that if you are trying to convince a commercial customer to put a multi-million-dollar solar array on their roof, and they only realize a 2 to 3 cent per kilowatt hour savings, it's not very appealing. The math just doesn't work, and there's fewer and fewer renewable energy credits available, and you've got to make a business case for these folks who own businesses and are trying to explain things to their shareholders and their companies that this is a good solution for their business long term, besides the environmental solution, because they have shareholders that they have to report to. That said, I've had some really exciting conversations with people down at City Hall, and the optimum time to put a solar array on a commercial roof is when you've got a new roof, or you're going to be replacing a roof, because that's going to give you another 25 years. You don't want to be putting one of these systems on a roof that's got 5 years left. So I think as people are coming in for permits, or if we've got a list of our licensed roofing contractors, which we license here in Naperville, we could really communicate all the potential that these customers have and try to get them online with these solar systems down the way. And there's rebates available that are not being used by IMEA to support these projects.
Thank you. Candidate White.
Thank you. I don't have the business that you have over here, Scott, but I can tell you one way we can do this, where it all needs to really start, is with us at the city. What do our city buildings actually look like? I know we can do more and do better in that particular area. We actually do have some solar on the roof of the municipal center. If you are familiar with JC's Park, which is right outside of the municipal center, that one of the things that we wanted to do there was to build, put electricity out there for the park so people can have IT support. They have Wi-Fi out there as well, and it's all being powered, quite frankly, by the solar that we have up on the roof. There's other public buildings that we have in the community. I would ask for us to strive to try to make that happen as well. I understand there's a cost piece to that, but that's something that we definitely can do. We've actually taken part of our fleet, and it is electric. You can see them as you go through the garage, and you'll see them plugged in. Unfortunately, they're doing it with level 1 chargers, which is very, very slow if you're charging. They need at least level 2. Ask the city manager, we have our own electric department, right? I think we could probably make that happen. So I would encourage us to continue to do that. It's a little bit easier. It's definitely easier for some of our residents to get solar on their homes. Much tougher for the businesses, as you just heard. But we're not even close to getting the number of wrecks that we can have here, even as residents. I think we're authorized 2% from IMEA. We're not even close to that. And if we even get to 2%, we can always go back and request to have more. And as you are replacing your roof, I got hit with that big storm a couple of years ago. Replaced my roof, and I would think maybe a month after I did it, I just went, why did I not put solar on? I had an opportunity to do it. And USAA is my insurance company. They would have done a heck of a job of making sure that happened. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate White. How do you feel about less mowed lawns and more sustainable nature prairie plants for wildlife conservation? Candidate White?
I think it's a great idea because when you bring in the prairie plants, those are the plants, and especially with those that can pollinate, which would attract the right insects, if there's bees, whatever, come in. And anytime we get them to do that, I think it's good for the environment. So I would be in favor of that. I know there's a few places, quite frankly, not only do they not just have lawns, but they have artificial grass there, like a football field or something like that. We can do better than that. I know it's a little more maintenance to maintain those, but it's better for our environment. It provides the oxygen that our trees and live plants have for us. So I think those are good initiatives for us to do. But I think having the prairie plants, and if you ever go on the Prairie Pass, I used to work at Wheaton College, and that's what brought me here to Naperville. But my cadets would be out there running along the Prairie Path, and you'd see all the great plants and stuff. If you get down to Springbrook, you see the same thing. So I think having those in some of our lawns, and when an opportunity presents itself, I think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Worley?
Now, for a long time, DuPage County's had best management practices for stormwater and the ability to use sustainable nature plants in some of our stormwater retention areas. And as I've seen it implemented in development around town, it actually is very, very attractive. It presents a very different thing to look at. It's a lot more pleasant to look out and see birds and animals and things doing their things. Besides somebody out there with a lawnmower trying to mow a lawn and all the noise that goes along with it. So from a commercial application, it's been very good. I think the adaptation in the residential sector is somewhat new. I know there's people who do it. I've been on some of the tours throughout the community when they have them that actually are people showing off their sustainable prairie plants in their yards, and it's pretty cool. So I think it's exciting stuff. It's just a matter of educating folks about what it takes to implement those things and maintain them, and what the benefits to them are in the process of doing so. So I've got to open mind all that stuff, but I definitely like it in the commercial application. I think it's really great.
Thank you. This is the last of our audience questions. The candidates agree on what some of the priorities are, but how would you differentiate yourself from your opponent? Candidate Worley?
I've got a unique background, and I've been a business owner in town for a long time. Ironically, my business has been that of doing sustainable and resilient construction for buildings and structures all around the Midwest. So we've been on the cutting edge. We've copied and pasted a lot of stuff from our friends in Europe who have been building that way for long before us. They're about 10 years ahead in some of their building technologies as far as their sustainable efforts. And I have that experience in doing this stuff simply because that's just my job. When it comes to the environmental issues here in Naperville, I think I've got a lot of practical experience from trying things that have been successful and some things not so much. And when I have those conversations with people who call me and say, hey, Scott, how about this or how about that? I can say, oh, well, we tried that over at North Central College. We did that geothermal system there, and here's what it did, and here's what didn't work. And yes, we did it, and it's successful now, but there was a learning curve along the way. Or we put up the solar array on the top of the Res Rec building where I'm on the board over at North Central, and we put battery technology up there, and that probably wasn't a good investment at that time because it was too early, and it wasn't right for that application, in my opinion, at that particular moment in life. So I have that unique perspective of doing all these projects, and I can talk the talk. I'm very comfortable in that. And I'm not afraid to say when I've had some hard lessons and things that didn't work so well, but we at least tried.
Thank you. Candidate White?
Yeah, for me, I would tell you, for me, it's about leadership. That's been my career. I'm a 22-year retired Army officer. I'm a West Point graduate, and this, for me, it comes down to leadership. I've been elected 3 times in this community after serving my country. Now I'm serving my community. I've been on the Board of Education in 2004, where we had to make decisions similar to what we're talking about here when it comes to saving the district money by making sure that we're more energy efficient. I've also been elected to the City Council for the last 6 years, where again we've been doing the exact same thing, trying to be efficient with our finances and so on. We've been doing the hard work. I've been doing the hard work, and I do it on a values-based approach. And that's what you're going to get with me, are my values. In fact, I went on to study values-driven leadership and have my doctorate in that. That's how much I really appreciate being a leader. I'm always honing my leadership skills. So the key, like I said before, is you surround yourself with good people. You got to pick the right people. You have to hire the right people. And then you have to lead them. And as the leader, you've got to point them to the right direction. Make sure we're all on the same sheet of music when it comes to what we're trying to accomplish from a goal standpoint, and then we get there. That's how we make it happen. I listen to people. I have a participative style of leadership that allows people to have a stake in what we're doing, and that's what you'll get from me.
Thank you, candidates. On to the lightning round. Question 1. We'll start with you, Candidate White. Would you support setting goals for greenhouse gas reduction?
Yes.
Candidate Worley?
Yes.
Candidate Worley, would you support expanding recycling to multifamily dwellings and commercial properties?
Yes.
Candidate White?
Yes.
Candidate White, do you support adding a parking deck at Nichols Library?
Who would answer? I don't have a yes, no for that, because I need to see the analysis. We've got to do some work as far as looking at our driving habits to determine if the demand is there for it. So if the demand is there, it makes sense, then I would support that. If not, then I probably would not.
That's not a yes, no.
I know. That's the best you're going to get from me on that one. Sorry.
Candidate Worley?
You're not going to get a yes, no from me on that one either. There's an older study and there's an older plan, and I've looked at it, and I'm not necessarily comfortable with the way I interpret it right now. My company is actually in the business of building parking garages, and I look at the layout, and I don't necessarily think it's that efficient the way it's currently laid out. So I would say that there's more to come, and we've got to listen and see what the most current data is telling us, as well as what our consultants are going to tell us on this.
All right, back to the yes, no's. Candidate Worley, should Naperville actively encourage solar adoption and seek partnerships with commercial property owners to foster solar?
Absolutely.
Candidate White?
That wasn't a yes or no, you just said absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Candidate White, would you support a Naperville hiring a sustainability director? Let me repeat that. Would you support Naperville hiring a sustainability director?
And we basically have that, I guess maybe a manager, but someone's in place, Ben's in there right now, and they're doing great work. So if we're talking about a director or executive director, I'm not sure if the rank of that individual is what the purpose of the question is, but we have a person in place right now.
Thank you. Candidate Worley?
And I would have to delineate between the existing roles and what the role of director would be versus what the current role of manager and the assistant is. So I don't have the answer to that question, but I would want to make sure we're not replicating the existing position.
Candidate Worley, would you support incentivizing businesses to install electric vehicle charging stations? Yes or no?
Yeah, I think there's already incentives out there for them, so yes.
Candidate White?
Yes.
Thank you, Candidate White. Candidate White, should Naperville take action to oppose carbon capture and sequestration at Prairie State Energy Campus where we have park ownership? You mean to repeat that?
Yeah, is it back there?
Indeed it is.
I would want us to capture it.
Would you like to take the CO2 that's coming out of the stack and shove it into the ground to keep it there forever? No?
I'm not exactly sure what who asked the question? So is that an audience question?
No, that was a pre-planned lightning round.
We got it. Carl's gonna clarify.
There's emerging proposals to take our Prairie State power plant, our coal power plant, which you very well understand, capture the carbon at the smokestack, that's at a fairly high cost, and then do something with it. Put it in the ground or potentially use it for maybe enhanced oil recovery and other, other areas. And that would be part of a future plan potentially to extend the life of our Prairie State coal operation that we are part of. So that's the
Okay. Without knowing any more than what you basically told me there, I'm gonna go over. But that definitely sounds like the right thing to do, based off of what you said there. So yes.
Candidate Worley?
I think we've got to negotiate from a position of significance, right? And we are one of the largest owner of that particular IMEA program. And we've got to have all of our options on the table and not necessarily make decisions without knowing all of the options. So I'm going to say I'm not answering yes or no to that because I don't know all of the options that are out there. And we've got to listen to all of those options before we make any decision.
Thank you. Candidate Worley, should Naperville set timelines and goals for adoption of electric vehicles for its city government fleet?
That is it's a tough one simply because our government fleet has got a significant number of emergency response vehicles that, from an electric vehicle perspective, and as an owner of an electric vehicle, I don't think I want the electric ambulance coming for my heart attack. We've got to be very conscious of the limitations of electric vehicles today. And for certain vehicles, I think it's fine. And I would certainly look at portions of the fleet being converted. But when it comes to the emergency vehicles, there's still work that has to be done there. So I would be reliant on more reliability and testing before we would go with first responder vehicles.
Thank you. Candidate White?
Yeah, I would tell you that it's not a simple yes, no. I think that should be the goal, is to gradually get there, but that's going to come along with what the technology is, as it progresses as well. So, for example, most of the electric cars, the really good ones are probably, or you might get close to 400 miles on a charge. I know technology is coming out now where you can get up about 800 miles off of a charge. Once we get to that level of technology, then we can start going to the next phase. If you're looking at a particular fire truck with a tower and a ladder and all that, that truck by itself costs, with everything on it, it's about $1.3 million. Yeah, it's a lot of money. Kind of like those radios I talked about, right? But that's such an important vehicle that needs to be able to function when it gets to its destination to provide service to whoever is in need at that particular time. So we need to ensure that the technology matches with what the demand and the capabilities of these emergency vehicles are. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Candidate White, like the yes or no? Naperville has seen significant flooding in recent years. Would you support using a portion of Naperville's $13.3 million ARPA funds to address flooding?
I think that would be a great use for it. Of course, there's other things out there, but I think that would be a great use for it. So if you want a yes, no, I'll give you a yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Candidate Worley. Candidate Worley, would you consider walkability and bikeability as a priority for the city?
Yes.
Candidate White,
Yes.
final question, gentlemen. Candidate White, do you feel that Naperville city government should improve its communication and outreach programs concerning environmental sustainability? Yes or no?
Yes.
Candidate Worley.
Absolutely, yes.